about Joe Biden. I watched his remarks just before I came on, Grant, and I have to tell you, I'm really disgusted because here's why. Just earlier today on a fundraising phone call, and I'll quote, I want to make sure I get it right. Joe Biden told his donors that it's time to put Trump in a bullseye. Well, guess what? That is exactly what someone did today with their rifle as they attempted to assassinate President Trump. They did exactly what Joe Biden said to his donors on the phone. And let's talk about how this comes on the heels of a weaponized government under Joe Biden and under all the Democrats, because they all support it, a weaponized justice system that is attempting to put President Trump in jail for the rest of his life. And then let's add to the fact that my Democrat colleagues, and I'm going to call them out by name because their names need to be made famous. Benny Thompson, the former chairman of the January 6th committee, just recently introduced legislation to take away President Trump's Secret Service protection. And here's his co-sponsors: Troy Carter, Barbara Lee, Frederica Wilson, Yvette Clarke, Bonnie Watson Coleman, Jasmine Crockett, Joyce Beatty, and Steve Cohen. These are the other Democrats that co-sponsored Benny Thompson's legislation to take away his Secret Service protection. So never forget who these people are. Never forget the Democrats. They literally, along with the media, want Trump dead. And that nearly happened today. And we should never, ever forget it. And we will not let this go.
Senate candidate Kari Lake is set to speak at the Republican National Convention next week. Kari, thank you so much for joining us on what turned out to be such a historic day. Now, I was just going through your Twitter and you tweeted that you are shaken and horrified by this assassination attempt. What went through your mind when you saw the video of that gunfire and the blood coming down Trump's face?
Well, I initially had heard that the president had been shot, and I had no information on it initially, and I was just shaken and in tears, wondering what had happened. And then I finally got information and found out that it looked like he may be okay. And now we know that, as President Trump said, he heard a bullet whizzing by his ear, and he was struck in the right ear. And thank God he's okay. All I can say is that prayers work. The American people have been praying for this man nonstop. People around the world have been praying for President Trump nonstop for years. And I believe that he was spared his life tonight by the grace of God. It's
Kari,
absolutely shocking that this happened tonight. It's absolutely shocking. It's not historic. It's absolutely disturbing that there's been an assassination attempt on President Trump's life. And this has got to stop. This has got to stop. The people need to come together. I believe the people of this country have come together. I'm out talking to more people every day than the average person, maybe only, second to President Trump with the amount of people I encounter and talk to every day. And the mainstream media has done nothing except stoke fear and division in this country. And I implore the people of America to turn off the mainstream media. They want us divided. They want us torn apart. And in fact, I believe we're much more unified than you can imagine. If you looked at that crowd today and the love in that crowd, I've been to many, many Trump rallies. They're the most patriotic place you could ever be. The people in those crowds love President Trump because he loves this country. And he's one person who's out there fighting for them. And I saw the people behind him when the president was shot. And I looked into their eyes and I knew every one of them would have jumped in front of that bullet if they would have had the chance. Thank God President Trump escaped with his life tonight. And I just ask the media to stop trying to divide this country. Help bring us together, because the people want healing. They want to solve the problems we have, and they want to get back to our great days. And that's why they love President Trump, because he's going to bring us back to those great days.
Listen, I just saw, like all of you, that President Trump was just shot at his rally in Pennsylvania. And I will tell you, these people are evil, and that President Trump has known that they are wanting to take him out. This man has stood through challenges that I've seen no other person stand through. And he has taken more hits for the American people than ever before. These people are evil. They need to be eliminated from power, and President Trump is the only one who can do that. God bless President Trump. And God protect him and keep him and his family safe. And he will win this election because he loves this country. And he fights for this country, and he fights for our kids.
Well, yesterday we had one of the biggest political events of the year. Trump was at a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, and someone came and managed to not only kill a member of the audience, but shoot him in his right ear. And Trump collapsed to the ground after being knocked down by some Secret Service agents, put up his fist to show that he was all right for the most part, and then was whisked away to a hospital. The shooter was killed, and it is being described as an assassination attempt. It is the first attempt at assassinating a president, where current or former, where the president has been injured since the 1981 shooting of Ronald Reagan by John Hinckley Jr. And it is something I have quite a bit to say about. Like, I'm not even going to read a news story or anything. I just want to go off the cuff here. I was driving when this occurred. I got back to my place probably within the first like half hour. So certainly a very short time after it happened, before a lot of these like news sources started sending alerts. And one of the guys that lives by said, the president's been shot. And I was like, huh? Because at first I thought they were talking about Biden. Just when I hear the president, I think of the one that's currently in office. And they said, yeah, he got shot, and he had blood. And I was like, I like it didn't register to me because I hadn't seen anything about it, and this was I didn't think they were making it up, but it just sounded so, I guess, too spectacular to imagine. I then went on my computer, saw the footage of the event. And even as someone who wasn't there, I was very disturbed by, and of course the U.S. has a history of gun violence with the, Lincoln, McKinley, Garfield, Kennedy assassinations. I mean, and of course the Martin Luther King, Robert F. Kennedy assassinations. There's a whole bunch of just violence that has occurred throughout American history. But it was very disturbing to watch in this, I guess, computerized, everything is recorded era, a politician talking, and then all of a sudden something hits them. And it becomes apparent to everyone there, there's a person trying to end your life. The Secret Service clearly failed. The person who was able to get around clearly did some shenanigans to not be seen by them until it was far too late. And one of the other aspects of this that has been disturbing are the reactions to it. You had several people on Twitter, and of course they're random faceless cowards, but they were actually like lamenting the fact that the shooting only was able to get his ear and not like the back of his head. And my thing is, and I've made this very clear since I even started covering this stuff. I'm not some Trump fan. I really am not the biggest Biden fan. I certainly wasn't an Obama or Bush fan, but I don't support violence against any of these people. I would much rather have Trump lose the election, which this incident did help him, but we'll get into that in a second, than have someone put him in any physical harm. And I really have been annoyed by, you have Marjorie Taylor Greene talking about, we wanted this to happen and all the things we've been saying. And the truth is, every current politician, especially the more famous ones like Trump or Biden, the ones that are like known throughout the whole nation, are going to in this modern misinformation era have people who don't like them, have people who they're constantly told they are like this big danger and threat. And of course, I just think it's insane to believe that because somebody said Trump, if he wins the election, is going to, turn the clock back in the U.S., end democracy, whatever things they say that are based off of his own statements, that they're somehow responsible for a crazed gunman attempting to end his life. I don't see the correlation. I think that I'd like for the rhetoric to be toned down, but as long as the person is not directly saying this man needs to, they say he needs to be stopped, it's like almost always, certainly when it's done by politicians, saying we can't let him win this election, not we need to take him out with violence. And it's unfortunate these people are able to spread stuff like that. And the idiots on Twitter are the main ones who legitimize these claims of, some left-wing conspiracy to take out the former president. I was even seeing people who were comparing Trump to Lincoln, which and this is the part of it that I just think is so interesting. When Trump got up after the shooting and he stuck his fist up, you're going to see that picture on posters. You're going to see that picture spread around all of the internet, because incidents like this, whether you like the person before or not, make someone sympathetic. I'm not some Trump fan, but I don't want to see him get blasted in the ear by some crazy person while he's giving a speech. So I was, even like automatically, I'm more sympathetic towards him, even if this is like, certainly not something that's going to make me vote for him. But this shooter, I'm glad they failed to do what they were trying to do. This is going to help Trump in the election. I mean, and I know it sounds probably a little superficial to bring that up, but he's, by all accounts, going to make a full recovery. It's disturbing that, I guess I got so used to this idea that political assassinations were mostly behind us. Like we had the Gabrielle Giffords thing, went back when I was 13, where you had this congresswoman get shot. But besides that, you really haven't had much. Like, and I know and then of course the baseball shooting from the one where the House number 2 Republican Steve Scalise was shot. But besides those, you really don't see political violence in the United States anymore. Like I figured that, especially with a president, they have Secret Service around them all the time. These people that are there to make sure they're okay. And in this case, it completely failed on the part of those agents. And honestly, I'm not someone that usually advocates for people being fired, but if you are not able to at all times make sure the president is secure, that they're protected, what is even the point of you having that job? But this is just another sign of how polarized the U.S. is. And I don't know what's more disturbing, the fact that the gunman tried to kill not only a presidential candidate, but a former president, among all these different people that were there, and clearly had no regard if he shot some innocent person that has nothing to do with any of this political stuff beyond just being, a Trump fan or a person that was just in the audience. Or if I'm more disturbed about that there are actual people who are upset that it didn't work, like that are angry with the shooter, not for doing the shooting, but that it wasn't successful in taking out its main target. I don't know which is more disgusting and like backwards, because the thing about a lot of these shooters is that they're going to do some probably background search on the guy, and they'll find mental issues and whatnot. But there's a lot of people who just have this seething hatred of politicians to the point where they genuinely want to see something bad happen to these people. And of course, I've always said the ones I don't like, I just want to see them lose re-election or, not win an election. But they're truly scary, because one of them could decide, as they're writing all this garbage that we're only like paying attention to on a surface level, that they want to try get their shot in. We're still 4 months away from the election after all. But this is certainly one of the scariest things I've seen in politics since getting really into it back in 2013. It is not okay to try murdering politicians you don't like, and it is also not okay to be in support of that. I like to. It's funny, all these left-wing people talk about the democracy they're trying to save from Trump, but when you support things like this, you are not backing a democracy. We might as well just be some third world country. It's really scary that people, there should be universal condemnation of this, and at the very least by accredited politicians and commentators, even like ones online. There is, but that just shows you how depraved your own country is, where people can back this stuff. So I'm glad Trump survived. I don't want him to win this election. I've made that very clear. But I don't want him to lose his life either. I would hope that would be a basic sentiment shared by people that actually care about, having any sense of just basic patriotism or desire to like not turn into some violent, backwater of a country.